Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Berea City Council meeting, Tuesday, December the 19th, 2023. I'll call the meeting to order. Madam Clerk, please let the record reflect that a quorum is present. This time I would call on Katie Startzman to lead us in the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Jim Davis. Katie?
Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you.
Stand, please, and join in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Next order of business is approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve? By Katie Startzman. Is there a second? By Steve Cottle. Any discussion on the agenda? Seeing none, I'll request a voice vote on the motion. All in favor of the motion to approve the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. Motion carries and the agenda is approved. Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from December 5th, 2023 and December 13th, 2023 special call meeting. I would request a motion to approve both of those together.
So moved.
Motion by Steve and second by Jerry Little. Is there any discussion, changes, or amending that needs to be done to those minutes? Seeing none, I'll request a voice vote. All in favor of the motion to approve the minutes from December 5th and December 13th, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. Motion carries and the minutes for both meetings stand approved. Next item on the agenda is ordinance number 11-2023, purchasing policy revisions, and this is the second reading. Mr. Gilbert.
An ordinance of the City of Berea, Kentucky adopting a revised purchasing policy manual and amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Berea, Kentucky by revising Section 24.309 of the Code of Ordinances to remain consistent with the revised purchasing policy manual. The amendments appear in Section 2, Paragraph 2, as follows. Provided, however, that in the event of an emergency declared and certified by the mayor in writing, the city administrator may make the purchase as specified in the mayor's declaration and report the purchase to the city council at the next scheduled city council meeting. Section 3. All ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith are repealed. This ordinance shall be published according to law.
Is there a motion to approve and adopt ordinance number
Make a motion to approve.
11-2023 by Jerry Little? Is there a second?
Second.
By Steve Cottle. I'll add that this ordinance was read in its entirety on December 5th and was also subject to city council work session prior to our meeting on December the 5th. We do have a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any discussion on the motion to approve and adopt ordinance number 11-2023? Are you ready for the question? All right, we'll begin. I'll request a voice vote. A roll call vote. And we'll begin with Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Ms. Centers?
Yes.
Ms. Startzman?
Aye.
Mr. Terrell?
Aye. Oh, nothing, you started.
Ms. Wilson?
Aye.
Mr. Cottle?
Aye.
And Mr. Little?
Aye.
Jerry, I tricked you, kind of went around the other way. Sorry about that. The motion carries and ordinance number 11-2023 is approved and adopted, and I appreciate everyone's input on that, and Rose, your work, as well as Steve, your leadership in the work session. Thank you all for getting that taken care of. The next item on the agenda is department head reports, and tonight our feature department head is Susan Hilton, Director of the Finance Department. Susan, you have the floor. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor, council members, city administrator. As always, thank you for this opportunity to talk about the finance department. Since my last report in September, property tax has been a major activity in our department. The property tax cards were mailed out in September, and to date we have received payment on 5,220 property tax bills for a receipt of $896,000. This represents 88% of all the tax bills, but it represents 92% of tax revenue. So that's pretty good for this time of year to be that far along. We had 5,042 tax bills that were eligible for the 2% discount because they made their payment before the November 31st deadline, and that represented a savings of nearly $18,000 to taxpayers just by meeting that deadline. The deadline to get property taxes paid at face value is December 31st. So after December 31st, penalties and interest will be charged. And as a reminder, City Hall is closed December 29th and January 1st. But any payments that are made into the drop box during those dates will be honored as being on time and won't be assessed interest and penalty. And also payments that are postmarked by December 31st will be considered on time. Another important project that the Finance Department is doing is our year-end reporting. New this year is that the IRS is requiring 1099s to be e-filed. In the past, you had to, if you had fewer than 250, you could paper file those, which is what we always did. This year, we have to electronically file those. So our accounts payable specialist, she's been doing a lot of research to make sure that we're going to get it all right and that we are able to produce that file that we upload to the IRS. So I feel very confident that she's got that completely under control. Just for clarification, the recipients of the 1099s, they're still going to get those paper copies. They're still going to be mailed out by January 31st. What I'm referring to is we have to submit those copies to the IRS, and now we have to do those electronically. But that probably doesn't really affect you all, but it's been kind of a thing for the for our department that we've had to be dealing with. The amended budget process is well underway. The department heads have until December 31st to submit their requested changes. During the first several weeks of the new calendar year, the city administrator, myself, the mayor, will all be going through those changes, get everything lined out. We will have a draft sent to you all by the end of January, and then we have a work session tentatively scheduled with the council on Thursday, February 1st. So mark your calendars down for that. Then the first reading will be on February 6th, and the second reading February 20th. Another project that you'll be hearing some more about pretty soon is the RFP for audit services. Several years ago, at the request of some of our council members, we went out to bid for audit services for the first time in probably many, many years, way before my time. And at that time, we decided that it was probably a good idea to do that on a regular basis. Every 5 years, I think, was our target. We missed it. Last year was our 5th year, so we should have done it last year, but we will do it this year. And just to note that is something that is recommended by the Government Finance Officers Association, GFOA. So it is one of their best practices. So to be following along with that 5-year schedule is just a good idea for us to get into the habit of doing. I will get the RFP sent out at the beginning of the year. I'll be sending that out to a list of audit firms within the region that specialize in governmental audits. The list was obtained by the Kentucky Society of CPAs, but any other qualified CPAs that are not on the list are more than welcome to submit a proposal. Once the proposals are opened, the city administrator and myself, we will review and grade them based on criteria provided by GFOA. And then the top 3 firms will be invited to be interviewed by the Audit and Finance Committee. That is the process that we followed last time. It seemed to work very well. So I think we should follow that same procedure. The goal is to have a final decision made by mid-March. Continuing education. December is the month when I try to catch up on my continuing education. I have to get so much in every year, and December. So this month I've participated in a number of webinars. Several of them have been discussing new accounting standards that are coming down. There's 3 that will be implemented in the next couple years. GASB 100, I don't know how much detail you all want. GASB 100 deals with how accounting changes and errors are reflected in the financial statements and how that gets disclosed, and that ensures that there's consistency when those things arrive year over year. We handle them the same way, and all governments handle them the same way, so that's a good thing. GASB 101 relates to compensated absences. Now, if you'll remember in the last audit, there was a note about some material adjustments related to FY22 numbers. So this was us getting ready because we knew that this new pronouncement was out. So we did a little bit of work in FY23 so that when for FY24 audit, we're already ready. We're already there. So we shouldn't have anything that affects us going forward. GASB 102, this isn't going to be in effect until FY25, but it's good to know that it's coming. It's going to require disclosure of any risks to operations and to revenue that has happened or is likely to happen. So, for instance, if we know that it is very likely that a major employer in Berea is going to shut down, we will be required to disclose that in our financial statements. So that's kind of a big thing. Hopefully it will never affect us, but just to know that that's out there and that we would have to disclose that if it did. Lastly, this is our staff holiday spirit week. And we are showing off our holiday spirit through festive attire. Today is Christmas sock day. So stop in tomorrow to see us in our ugly holiday sweaters. But please do so before 3:30 because we're going to be shutting down the drive-thru in the lobby a few minutes early so we can have our Secret Santa gift exchange. And I do appreciate the mayor and the city administrator allowing us to do that. It's important to our team to have that team building. So with that, unless there are any questions, I will just close by wishing you all a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, safe New Year.
Jerry, go ahead.
Susan, are there any way that when we send out the W-2s this year, and everybody might not, I would like to see a card in there what the benefits to each employee's worth, as to how much, would there be any, is anybody getting any appetite for that, showing the employee what his benefits is, vacation, holidays, insurance, and
So I will say that information is on the top of your check stub every month. So the year-to-date information is on there. Now,
But-
if we want to do something separate than that, I'm sure Ms. Beverly can pass that along to.
I'm just thinking for myself, it would probably look a lot larger number if it was at the end of the year, added up.
Sure.
And it would really, say $600 a month, I don't know, I'm just using that, or $400 a month, but if you add it up at the end of the year, it is $5,000 or $6,000. That's just something, that's just an idea. I think it would be a benefit, I really do. That's my opinion. That's all I've got.
Thank you, Jerry. Other comments or questions for Finance Director? Katie, go right ahead.
Can you refresh my memory with the audit process? Like after there's the bidding process and you said somebody would be chosen, selected by like March, when do they start engaging with your department and all of our information from the previous fiscal year?
Sure. Generally, they come in mid-June, and they will do what they call walkthroughs. So we give them a description of our internal controls. So they come in and they test those internal controls. Are we actually doing what we say we're doing? Are those controls effective? Because they use that information to plan their audit. If we say we do these checks and balances and we're not doing them, well, then that means they're probably going to need to look at certain things a little differently. So they do that in sometimes early July, anywhere from the middle of June to early July. Then they will come back after we have had about 45 days. I like to have at least 45 days to close our year and make all the necessary adjustments. Then they'll come back, usually for, I don't know, 5 to 7 days, and they will spend doing their testing, their financial analysis, and that. After that, they go back and they keep working on it. So they're not just working in our office, but after they do all of their testing, they go back to their office and review what they've done. They put together our financial statements. They do draft the statements for us. Then they provide a draft to us, which we review and go back and forth on before they actually come and deliver an opinion to you all. Yeah.
Good question. Thank you, Katie. Other questions or comments for Susan, Finance Director? I'll add my 2 cents. The Finance Department always has fun. They always have a good time, so I would encourage you to come and see them. They had some kind of headdress on Monday. I don't know exactly what you call that, but it's anywhere from snowmen on top of their head to Christmas ornaments, I promise. They did, and it was fun, so they always have a good time. But also, I will compliment Susan on her leadership, not only in her department, but as part of city government in such a critical role. I appreciate your professionalism, and I also appreciate the service and the manner in which they provide the service that's done by your staff. They do outstanding work, and we're grateful for everything that they do.
Thank you for saying that, Mayor. I really do. Every time I get up here, I like to take the opportunity to brag on them because they're an incredible group of people, and all the credit goes to them. Is all I can say.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We'll move forward. The next item on the agenda is public comment, but I do not see anyone here for public comment, so we'll move immediately to the City Administrator's report, and I'll recognize Rose Beverly. Rose, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. Well, I'd like to start out with the project's update. As you know, it's December though, so there's not a whole lot, but we have some behind the scenes stuff happening. So with the Lip Street, we are still waiting on the state to make a contract with that contractor for the on-site inspections to be done. So until that happens, we can't move forward because I can't give you guys a estimate on cost. So I don't feel right trying to come and approve any kind of contracts until I know what it will cost us. So I'm still waiting on that. I just want to let you know that I sent an email even December 8th to try to get a response from them, and we're still waiting. I think they're very backlogged because I know the people that we're working with are good people working hard, but they're just really behind with this on-site inspection issue having come up for TAP grants. And so the Scaffold Cane project also has a TAP grant, but we're not to that point of waiting on this part of it yet. Right now, we are working on finalizing the right-of-way plans with the engineer that's working on that with the state, and they're very close on that. They're just going over the very final details, and the next step will be easements. And he believes that the easement process for this will go pretty quickly and easily. So then we'll be into the contract side and all that actual work. So we're thinking fall of 24, probably more likely spring of 25, just because of the on-site inspections. I have a feeling that will probably hold us up based on what we're going through with the Ellipse Street project right now. Unless some miracle happens and they get everything caught up. So who knows, that's some time between it could happen. I also just want to say for the budget amendment, as Susan kind of gave you a timeline, but I have been talking, and I'm sure she has too, department heads are coming to me. I have several that have no changes at all. So I think you're going to have a really clean, really good. I know the insurance one will be a big one because we kind of had to move some of those away, and you guys had to approve us going over on a line for that. I think right now that's probably one of the bigger changes. I know I have some minor ones, but I think it's going to be very clean amended budget. So far, that's what I've heard. So I do have a water supply update. Kevin did text me. He's on vacation, but he texted a little update for you guys. Not that it's the best news, but we have one. So we have approximately 135 days of water supply as of yesterday. Owsley is down 9.5 feet. Cowbell is down 15 feet. B League is down 2 feet. If levels do not improve by the end of the year, he will be asking for voluntary water conservation in January. And he says they have received about 1.3 inches of rain, which has helped, but not substantially. So he'll keep you updated on that. And really do have some good news actually for the dam project. 90% design has been submitted to NRCS and the National Design Center in Fort Worth. He thinks that we should have their comments back by the end of January, and we hope to have a full 100% design and project approval by the end of March. I think Kevin was probably in a really good mood today because I know that it feels really good to be able to make forward momentum, and that's a huge step forward for that project. And that is all that I have today, so I could take any questions that you may have.
Questions or comments for Rose? Y'all letting her off the hook?
Got a comment.
Jim?
I drove out Owsley Fork the other day, and it's pretty bleak looking. It's very low. So I'm surprised that we've got the amount of water left that we do in that lake. So if we don't get some rain, it's coming. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Any other questions or comments for Rose? All right, I will add that Rose sent a report again to everybody with all the departmental reports. I don't think there was one for Susan because she gave hers in person, but Rose, I know everybody appreciates that, and it kind of gives a good look at completed projects, things in process, and things for the future, and kind of where we're going. So I encourage everybody to take a look at that. Thank you, Rose.
Yes, thank you, and happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and I hope you guys all have a good new year, and I will see you next year. I will be taking some vacation time, but you can still call me or email me, and I'll get back to you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Rose. Next, we'll move to mayor's comments, and mine is very simple. I wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and happy holiday season, and enjoy time with your family. I would encourage all of you, would I encourage others, that if you know anybody that's lonely or that needs help, reach out to them and lend a helping hand. That concludes my report. Next, we'll move to council comments, and we'll begin with Jim Davis.
Merry Christmas.
Teresa Sanders.
I appreciate your report, Susan. It's always good. Thank you. And I appreciate Kevin getting us that information, because I've been thinking about it a lot. But from the reports, maybe we'll get some rain for Christmas. We can at least pray for that, and everybody have a Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Teresa. Katie Starsman. Katie.
No comment.
Thank you, Katie. And we'll move down the end, Jerry, to Ronnie Terrell.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Cora Jane.
Thank you, Susan, for your report. That's always great. And Kevin on vacation and sending us a report. That's good. And we do probably need to pray for rain, it looks like. But I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, and just remember why we celebrate this season. Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Cora Jane. Steve Cottle. Steve.
Thank you to Susan for a wonderful report. It's always good to hear from the finance department, and they do a fantastic job. She's right that the staff in there is outstanding, but I think you probably aren't giving yourself quite enough credit. You do a fantastic job throughout the entire year, throughout the audit. It's a real blessing for our city that we don't have to worry much about finance, because you always are so buttoned up, and so I really appreciate that. I echo what the mayor said. Watch out for those around you. Sometimes the holidays are not the easiest for everybody. We sometimes forget that if we're having a great time, but look out for your neighbor, and if you see somebody who's in need, try to help those. And again, those who have lost loved ones during this time, it's always a difficult time of year, but Merry Christmas, and everybody stay safe, and hopefully we get some rain.
Thank you, Steve. And now for the last word, Jerry Little. Jerry, you have the floor.
I'd like to thank all of our employees, our administration, and our council for the good year we've had this year. You know, hard work, dedication, and working together, you know, that gets the job done. That's what it's all about. And I was thinking of some things that we need to maybe try to get done next year. And one thing people keeps talking about is affordable housing. And you know, that's a really big problem, is affordable housing. I've got a suggestion, and one thing that I think we could do, and it wouldn't hurt anything. You know, right now our lot size, you gotta have 100-foot front on a lot. That's what's in the codes. And as high as land cost and everything is, it adds on to the price of the house. I think that I would like to see it cut down to at least 80-foot front. And this would help keep the costs down and maybe lower the price of the house a little bit. And then if a developer wants to do a larger subdivision, let him, you know, or buy a lot and a half or whatever. But 80 foot, you know, at one time we was probably 60 or 70 foot, and we just kept getting bigger. You know, everybody wants to get bigger, but it's gotten down to where we're going to have to start downsizing. And that's just a suggestion. I don't think that would be much of a problem. Like I say, 80 foot, that lets you put a 50-foot house on it and have 15 foot on each side. That's just on the R1s. That's a pretty good sized house. And that might help. And last thing, I just want to wish everybody a safe, healthy Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And thank y'all.
Thank you, Jerry. Without objection, I'll go back to Ron Terrell and Cora Jane.
When we come back is January the 2nd. I think we ought to cancel that. And if you need a meeting later on, just call a special meeting instead of coming back on the 2nd, because I'm getting over the holidays.
Thank you, Ron. Rose and I'll take a look at that, and we'll go from there. And if anybody'd like to chime in, that's good. But I do want Cora Jane had raised her hand that she had something else.
Something else. I just wanted to say, if you all noticed the last few meetings we've had, that David's been out, and I would just like everybody to keep him in your prayers. He's, you know, had a battle, and we need to remember them and keep him in your prayers, that, you know, for healing and good health. That's all.
Thank you, Cora. That brings us to the end of our agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn? By Cora Jane Wilson, second by Jerry Little. All in favor of the motion to adjourn, please say aye.
Aye.
All